Alright, hello everyone, it's Jira Bro back with you another video. In this video, I want to be talking about not really it's Jira related stuff because this this methodology is based basically on creating the Jira itself, and that is the Agile methodology. So what actually is Agile? You probably heard, maybe you read somewhere that Agile is dead. Basically, like no one is either like following the Agile, and the biggest challenge within the Agile is about the estimating the user stories and everything like that. And I didn't want to talk a lot about this because Agile is a big topic, and they're like books, they're like webinars, they're like even courses that are lasting for, I don't know, like 7 to 8 hours of explaining the Agile in depth. But I'm not gonna be doing that. I'm just going just introducing you to the Agile and to basically understand why Agile is being used. So first of all, the Agile, it's a project management method that is designed to deliver software to customers quickly by fostering an open communication and trust among the Agile team. Um, back back then, I mean like way back when software development was actually there. If you don't actually believe it, the Agile itself, it even started to exist from 2001. So software development was actually there, but it seemed that the market for the software developers wasn't really developed like today, and it's continuing to develop because of this boom of AI and big data and all of the other things. So the thing is that even if the PO is the product owner, is focused on getting the job done, without the communication among the team, it's basically all in vain. So the focus in here is on having the open communication within the cross-functional teams. What are the cross-functional teams? So it doesn't have to be a software development team. It can be an HR team. It can be business. It could be IT. It could be finances, and so on and so forth. So it's not like you have to use Agile emphasizing only on software development projects. That's not it. Even if you go within the Jira itself and if you create a project, there are projects that are not only meant for software development. There are projects meant for finance. There are projects meant for IT teams and etc. So then the question is, okay, but why Agile? How the teams were working before? Well, the teams before Agile was actually there, they were kind of using this kind of a waterfall model. And the whole idea of the model was strictly going through the phases, like from the requirements to the development. And that was it. So this was a blocker. Why? Because teams couldn't go and couldn't actually shift between the phases, because they would have to actually go phase by phase. And also, within the waterfall itself, the problem was the teams were presenting their product when basically like development was done. Agile doesn't do this. So Agile was actually adopted to show working software to customers as much as possible, because with that, teams will actually first of all know if they're on the right track, and also to get the customer feedback. So that was actually really important. And yes, waterfall was seemed actually slow, so it would finish one phase in order to actually get to the another phase. And that's when the Agile was actually born. And fun fact was that the Agile itself was created, this, if you can say, philosophy was created among the software development teams. So, whoops. So the thing about the Agile itself is you have 4 values and you have 12 principles. If you're actually interested in going through all those 12 principles and read about them, you can just type in Agile Manifesto. I believe even the first link right there is leading you to all of these 12 principles and plus the 4 values. I just wanted to mention the 4 values in here. The first value is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So within the Agile itself, it doesn't really matter which kind of a tool you're using. If you're using Jira, if you're using Asana, if you're using Monday, it doesn't really matter. What matters are the interactions between the teams. So, even if it's saying like the business teams and developers have to work together in order to get the work done. And also, what's really important is to have a trust among that team. So, there's no place for selfishness, there's no place for massive egos, there's no place for, you know, there's no place for like comparing the skills, who is better. There's no place for competition. All those things that I have mentioned you can throw in the trash can. Because if those things exist, the team will fail. So there's no place for that. Working software over comprehensive documentation. Sure, you can have a big documentation explaining how a let's say payment processing system on your application actually works, what APIs were integrated, and everything else. But if you have that and you don't have anything to show to your client, it's all in vain. So working software is the first thing. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Like I said on the beginning, it's really important to foster the communication with your customers as much as possible. So your customers are not only your stakeholders. Actually, your customers could also be your users of the application, right? To actually extract as much of the feedback as possible. So you're not focusing on, sugarcoating and rainbows and things like that. You're not focusing on that. You're focusing on negative feedback right here. So no matter how the feedback sounds from your customers, no matter how bad it is, like bad UI, bad this, bad that, what is important in here is that you actually have that feedback, that you know what you're going to work on next. What is something that you and your team are going to be focused on? And last but not least, responding to change over following a plan. So this following a plan is something that replaced the waterfall model. And that's why Agile is actually in there. So to actually respond to that change that your customer is having, in order in and with the goal to implement that change as well. So some of the agile methodologies in here: Scrum, Kanban, Lean Development, Extreme Programming, and Crystal. Uh, in this video, mostly the talk is going to be on Scrum and Kanban because these two are the most popular methodologies right there. The Scrum framework itself is based on things like estimations, on things like working with story points, and then you have different estimation techniques. I didn't mention this in here, but there is like estimation techniques. For example, the Fibonacci sequence. There is the estimation technique, also known as the t-shirt estimation technique. There is also an estimation technique that is also being used, but it's not really that kind of practical, which is the regular estimation of days, hours, and minutes. It's something that is being used the least. The most popular one that I would say is like the story point estimations, and there is like the poker estimation as well. That doesn't really actually, that is something that would be talked in the separate video. The thing is, the team itself, the Scrum team, right? The Scrum team actually is focusing on the things on where there is a plan on which tasks are going to be done within a certain period of time. So that certain period of time, that time boxed event, is called a sprint. So as you can see right here on the image itself, so first of all you have like the product backlog. So it goes from the product backlog. Product backlog is the list of your prioritized issues, and most that list is going from the highest priority to the lowest priority. And your team is not going to go around, they're going to pick the lowest priorities themselves. That is something from the Agile. The beauty is that these teams need to be self-organized, and they need to actually work from the highest to the lowest priorities. Now this actually also depends on the issues the team will actually plan, and that will actually work within one sprint. So the thing is, when something is picked from the product backlog, it goes to the sprint backlog, and it's going to be defined and saying like, we're doing issue A, issue B, issue C, and issue D within a first sprint. That is our goal, to finish all 4 of them. And then that whole sprint shouldn't be longer than 2 weeks. And here it's saying 1 to 4 weeks, which also could be the case of having sprints that are lasting 4 weeks. Yeah, that's true. But in most cases it should be like 2 weeks. Then you have the Scrum framework itself is having 5 ceremonies. The first ceremony is all about sprint planning. I already mentioned this. The second one is the daily stand-ups the team is having every day. So these stand-ups are not focused on talking about the weather, on what kind of where we went to the vacation last week, what kind of who which team did win, and private conversations. We're not talking about that. On daily stand up, so first of all, that shouldn't be longer than 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and that's it. So, yeah, of course, this depends on how big your team is. It also depends on that. But longer than 15 minutes, it shouldn't be. And on daily stand up, you're talking about your team, what they have done yesterday, what you're going to be doing today, and are there any blockers out there. Then you have sprint review, then you have sprint retrospective, and then you have backlog grooming as a fifth, but this could be an optional ceremony. These four, the beginning four from this slide that you actually see here, these are the most important ones. And you have the Kanban. Kanban and Scrum both are available within the Jira. So, Kanban is all about visualization. It's all about delivering the continuous work. It's not really focused on the estimations, and it's much lightweight than Scrum, and it's also focusing on limiting the work in progress, and of course getting the things done. Could also, the company itself could also have a product backlog where you can actually also where you can have the list of the issues that you're actually going to be working on, and you're actually planning all those out, and it's going to the board itself. But it doesn't actually make kind of sense. Yeah, sure, you can have the sense of organization right there, but there is no like defined time frame. There is no something like that, unless you're defining that with a due date. That's a different story. So Agile team, actually the Scrum team itself, consists of the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the development team. So the product owner, he's focused on writing down the user stories and also with the backlog. So they take care of the backlog and they make sure the backlog is groomed properly. Scrum Master, or called also as servant leaders, they're actually out there to make sure that the Scrum team is following the principles of the Scrum itself. And also, they can help the product owners to act with some of the user stories. Development team are actually there to develop the products. And I would actually stop here, because if I would move on, this would last like really long. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're actually interested knowing more about the Agile, breaking things more down, talking about the user stories, talking about all of the estimation techniques, talking about all of those possible things. Maybe of the task of a product owner, and then how the user story looks like. What is a user story, and also the other things such as what is the definition of done, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that is it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. See ya. Bye.